after this. Anything can happen. Anything is open field, play dead. You can do whatever you like. And if you want to take a team head on, which we have seen on multiple times throughout, well, yesterday when we looked towards Cloud9, Liquid, 17, it can cause problems, not only in the early game, but the late game also. It forces you to lose utility, it forces you to become late in the circles. Liquid, unfortunately, they had a great start on Miramar, but it wasn't the best of endings when we look towards the Erangel games, especially towards the last one when, unfortunately, a pistol took down 2 members back-to-back. All right, they got a little bit aggressive. I respect it. You want to play for, you know, set a bit of a stance on the ground, proving point, boot 17 out. They got hyper-aggressive. There was, I think it was Gemty who had the AKM, but again, if you want to get hyper-aggressive, you have to be aware that it's a very real possibility that a team could already have a gun. But you know what? That's yesterday. We need to focus a little bit more on today. 4 AM. That's an interesting one. One of the players actually getting shot out. Captain could be getting either run over or if Shura has a gun, that could be an early grave.
Oh, just dropping off. Uh-oh, speaking of who's got a gun, it looks like it's the other way around.
Warning.
Yeah, Shura's going to get the heck out of there. You don't want to mess with that. Backing off, looking for a bigger gun. The big boy gun, not exactly the big boy gun, but a bigger boy gun. I know you love to say big boy gun. I just like to say it as much as possible so everyone thinks it's my saying, not yours. I'm here to help.
Copyrighted it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
my saying.
Is it yours?
There's literally a Twitch chat spam of my repetitive PEL sayings, unfortunately.
When does it go from just being a repetition to being like a catchphrase?
I don't know. I'm saying it's a catchphrase and not podcasting. We'll go with that one. Envy, this time a bit quicker on the drop. Obviously, the plane was good for them. They'll be able to take Los Leones, get geared up, do the usual thing. Yes. For ENCE, this is their usual PEL spot.
So where do the Brazilians drop? So it was Monte Nuevo, they were saying, right? Suddenly it's actually available. I think, or was it Pozo? It wasn't Pozo, surely. I don't know. Maybe they're seeing Pozo's available now and they can
Pozo's a little bit too far. I mean, it's doable with the plane, but if Monte Nuevo's open and the plane dictates it, you might as well go get in early, right? There's no reason not to. Get yourself in there, get yourself looted and booted. You might even see Rostazera even maybe up to go up there. If it's gonna, there's no real reason because you're not going to be rotating off the back of it. It's all the way up against the western edge. Let's talk about teams who might have a difficult play here. North is happy because even Oasis is inside the circle. So I suppose we have to look more toward the south. When you look at the Blue Bees, they're going to be the furthest away from the circle. Actually, I mentioned the North. You know what? Windstrike might actually get the blunt end of this one. BSG are in front of them. Aero Wolf. We see AG 4EM. There's a lot of teams directly in front of them, so I think for Windstrike, they'd have to play this one quite smart rather than just go dive bombing into the circle. They might have to take a late rotation here and come in maybe northwest area, maybe even full west.
They've got to have the perfect loot, though. Like, look at where they're looting. I mean, obviously, they said, ooh, we do see a little bit of damage going towards damage. But again, warning shots more than anything, it feels like at this point. No one really getting caught on rotations just yet, but there is going to be maybe a player or two who does get caught out of a car. We just did see a double headshot just on Erangel yesterday.
That was disgusting.
Yes, it was. We do, however, see a couple more. Again, it's warding people away, it's keeping that compound, also damaging cars helps in the long run. Windstrike will have absolutely spot-on loot. Now, if you guys don't watch the pro scene so much or you play the settings, slightly different, of course, from your normal game of PUBG. A little higher on the loot values. But again, Windstrike should be getting some perfect loot. But they're moving early, Richard. You were talking about their options, their availability up in the northeast. They're moving quickly, maybe knowing they have a lot of teams in between them, in front of them, maybe fancying, we don't want to wait late, we've got enough we can go forward with. That's, I guess, the benefit of going to a high-value area. Let's move quickly before it's too late. Some evasive maneuvers coming out from one of the teams in front of them there, NIP. Nice to see NIP. Yeah, now. Always good to see him.
It's become, since getting picked up and a few changes were made, you know, I'm going to say it as it is. Back in the day, the first iteration of NIP was a bit of a meme. We didn't see the teams living up to the standard that you would expect from a world class and
it's a big name to have.
A powerhouse, you know, maybe things just weren't right, but it was a bit of a meme. They picked up the remnants of WTSG, obviously with the addition of NBS after the departure of Larson, and things have been going good to great. We've seen them on the uprise, and to be here, I think it's good. I think it's good for the org and good for the team. When you come off the back of what they did at PGI, to making a team change. You need to be setting this standard when you've got that name on the badge. It's good. It's good for business.
Speaking of NIP, maybe on the wrong end of things, MBS has to be a little careful. Monkey King already proving his ability, but
go for the tires. For the tires.
Don't want to outstay that peak. So the thing is that everyone's probably sitting there going, why isn't he just shooting the tires? Why didn't he just kill him? I mean, you can't just overstay your peaks in this, right? You peak that little headshot angle, goodbye helmet, goodbye HP, you know what I mean? It's so tough. And every single player on the server has that individual ability to be able to do that. So you can't be lackluster on individual ability. You have to keep that in mind.
I love how you touched on that. The one thing that has the major change since when we last cast is the fact that the vests and the helmets, they now take 50% durability damage. So you can approach some of these fights with better gear and get to the point where it's like, well, my helmet's gone. I'm kind of buggered now. There's nothing else I can really do. But now you have next fight survivability. You can afford to take these, take a few more where you're not scavenging and scrounging around for gear because you're completely out of luck. I think, did I just see Godfrey go down in the kill feed, or was that somebody else?
Really?
It may have been excuse me. Yes, it was. So Godfrey's down. Oh, well, morning. Different colour ghillie suit would have been preference, but who cares when you've got a green gun there? I'll take the green ghillie as well, why not? Who can get that? It's in no man's land. Maybe the Blue Bees make a play for it? It'd be a good area to get themselves into this circle because they're far on the west.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
Love a good arm.
I really want to see an arm out.
Yeah.
Get your arm out. 16 teams, 64 players still standing, Richard. Plenty of people could get it.
Yeah. I think the thing that made it a little bit stronger, in my opinion, was the fact that we introduced 3 times and 6 times. There's so many scopes available in this game.
Oh, wait, no, sorry. We missed an opportunity here, Rich. What do you call the gun that was in that big...
Well, no, it's not my set anymore.
Oh, have I taken it over?
It appears so.
Sorry.
Put the pansy stamp of approval on it.
Can I call it the big green gun?
If you want to.
Call it that.
The green machine.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because at least I don't call it an AWP. I mean, if anything, I'm improving.
Frankie would.
Frankie
anyway.
would. I mean...
Well, moving on. BM.
I'm kidding. I love Frankie, all right? We all do.
It's good to see her back here.
From Counter-Strike,
on her roots. She's been living the life abroad, Miami and all these other places.
Exotic locations.
She's come back to Milter.
Milter Power.
All right, mate.
Yeah, down at Milter.
Yeah, get us a wine.
Went out for a couple of bets. Anyway, we are just waiting to see if any of the teams do end up crashing compounds. And speaking of crashing, Moody just pulled up in front of the Brazilians. Don't make it easier for these guys. They're already doing very well for themselves. They don't need assistance. But maybe Moody's had a bit of an issue there. Not sure what happened, but caught out completely. Maybe trying to get to Venerated. I don't know. We don't see the full context of that fight or that situation. But what we do know is it's put Envy in a bad spot again.
I don't want to be that guy, but I am going to be that guy. When we look towards the Brazilian win, I think for Afrika, they definitely fluffed it. That could have been their win.
Yes.
It could have generally been a 2 versus 4. If that nade wouldn't have hit them, I think the aggression would have been outplayed and they would have lost it. There's certainly a few things they can take away from that, which is A, obviously be aware of solo players being split individually, and B, playing off the back of it. It was a good angle from one player to hold the bottom side, but certainly I don't think it was a gifted win. A few things went wrong for Afrika and they took advantage, and I think for Afrika's side they definitely should have been going for the res in the end there. So a win's a win, and some kills were good to boot as well, so credit to them where credit's due, but certainly there's a few things you can take away from that. My OCD likes that circle being so central.
Is that perfectly central, or is it slightly east?
It's just a little bit there, but it's almost a donut. That could be.
Are you sure it's not your
donuts.
OCD? Just
my food cravings.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Bring me sugar and carbs. Zampa! Tempo Storm could really do without this. Windstrike is going to be lapping that one up, and Nookie confirming as well. That's points in the pocket. And, well, Tempo Storm, what is going on here?
Yeah, it
was meant to be the big, let's look at them, let's see how this goes. That is not good.
I mean, they're laying back, right? All the rest of the American teams are doing super, super good, so it's quite good for them. Tempo do definitely have a standard that they have to live up to, which is going to be difficult. There is a target kind of painted on the back in the form that other people will realise, okay, this is Tempo, we don't want to push them, we know exactly where they're going. There's a few other things which they have to live up to a standard, Lauren.
We certainly do. We can keep eyes on this fight for now. As those rotations are happening, I do want to hear from our sideline reporters who've been back there watching all of this go down. D-Man, Scoom, what's it been like there? You've been keeping tabs on this.
Yeah, I've just been watching NC's adjustments. We mentioned it in the last game, the fact they do like to go north. Now, ordinarily they would have But because Tempo, they bumped into Tempo and NIP last game, they've gone south this time. And now Tempo's gone up north, and they bumped into Windstrike because the plane pass forced them over. So there's a lot of adjustments. Also, I want to talk about NIP and 4AM and Entus. They've all made adjustments of, remember, they all dropped into each other in San Martin and Hacienda. This time, NIP forced over. 4AM went for a mad split push.
Yeah, one key thing to notice in the high input here is like teams adjusting to the way the plane path is. You saw it coming in from the northeast down to southwest, and you see teams adjusting to their rotations based on that. You see Tempo Storm coming in late and coming in from the north, and Ents, knowing that, they come in from the southeast.
Yeah, it looks like 4AM are involved, guys. Over to you.
Thank you so much, and again, hopefully you guys at home enjoyed that one. What a nice way to kind of report on this and see what happened and kind of get a good idea of all those difference in rotations. We heard it from the players, but to get to see it live in front of us, all those small nuanced changes are wonderful. So again, let's see how that now pans out. We still have all teams alive.
The one thing I want to mention most importantly about this circle, because it's not hard shift and because it's central, the way that generally the meta's dictating the gameplay at the moment is you get the center of the circle. It's old school PUBG back in the day. You bomb middle, you take the center, and you wait it out and you work off your rotation and your individual and team gun skill from there. With this circle going middle again, this is going to prove really bad for the late game because no one, you know, we've still got 61 alive, 16 teams, everyone's up and everyone's already central, so there's no real adjustments from that previous circle. For late game, this is where it gets messy, because now if we get a hard shift in this one, you have a lot of teams that are going to migrate together. VSG, Bluebees, AFF, 17, NIP. I mean, I could run through how many teams were in a grenade distance of one another. It'll be a powder keg situation. We'll get some sort of a weird and wonderful circle that could literally just ignite it, and then everyone just decides to clash into one another. And it's not even by their own doings. I mean, look at this. We're over at water treatment, Windstrike, they found 4AM yet again.
That angle, denial on the peak, but the kill did come through in the end for Windstrike. That was very scary, that instant kind of like headshot dink that came out. Windstrike with 3 players up. Temmie's a little bit tagged here, but should be okay. Decent cover around him. At the moment, we do see that they're going to be having a couple of issues. No other kills going to be coming through. They can try and kind of keep themselves in the situation. As 4AM, well, the problem is ZGG is on his own. The rest of his team are further to the south. Forever and Captain are seeming to consider coming over. They're going to try and run over and help him out and provide support, as we are going to be seeing more fights coming across the map as a little bit of an engagement happens. NIP, Gaxi has found General. That's AG. Going to lose a player, but AG again, I think they're on rotations trying to find somewhere in the north here. NIP were kind of more hunkered towards the center. Yeah,
NIP, they could at least hold this one down and they can play off the back of that. OMG will have to continue the rotations, unfortunately for them, out in the open. They can just hold this, which is fair play, and the fact that you can get a height advantage and look through kind of the portholes and the little letterboxes on this one. There's a couple of strong compounds that do this. I think it's up at the power grid, which is the most prevalent one that we've seen it happen, because you have a defilade, in a hillside that drops off from the back of it. He'll be able to get an eye-line on Hacienda, but we'll see a fair amount of crashes coming through rather soon. Northern area could be sketchy. We shall see. Is that a bit of a BM towards me?
Absolutely is. VSG didn't see too much of them lighting up the kill feed before, but that's a big scalp to claim. Tempo Storm on the receiving end, and they have found no respite. Wherever they've gone, they've been struggling absolutely everywhere. They've been picked apart, and they haven't had clean rotations, and we're seeing this again happening.
So a bit of a lull for a moment. Ends to the next ones that really have to make something happen here. They'll work their way out of Hacienda, but again, when you have Entus and MP5 that'll have a line of sight, it could be rather problematic. They could go down south, it's empty, depends what vehicles they can commit to it and use. The north still looking sketchy. Bluebees, as I mentioned that, straight on to Datmosh, down he goes, dead, confirmed, job done. The rest of Aerowolf have to go down south towards the western bank. Once they get in on that western embankment, there's nowhere really else to go. It's going to be open, you can play the side, but have to be aware of AF, VSG, also eye lines on the Bluebees, and how have to come down from the mountainside, which is rather unfortunate. I say mountainside, it's more of a crater, but it's still open ground. There are a few dips that you can get yourself into and a few divots that will provide a tiny bit of cover, but not too much. Windstrike also in the mist in the distance. 4AM should have the information where they are because they have an engagement earlier on, so they should be able to read that and set up for them. It looks like Tempo Storm have actually crashed though, VSG. This could be a big one, Lauren. They've got two huge powerhouses. NA's #1. They need to do something, though, because at the moment they're looking a little bit sketchy.
Sketchy is certainly a word for it right now. I don't know how they're going to be able to hold on to this one. Everything seems to be falling apart a little bit here. Your boy Dre trying to get a heal off to kind of maybe boost himself up, but he knows he's last man alive. And what? They've just gone out in last place. Tempo Storm. Where are you? We were singing NA's praise. We couldn't get enough of it yesterday, but this is savage.
January, pre-season, 50k win. February,
saying
Royale,
that, Rich,
40k win.
OMG are losing out on players too. Some of the bigger teams here, bigger names, are losing out on a lot of players early. OMG went down that kind of, I guess, they lost in the first two teams, right? They were out so early, so some of these big names are not having the best of games.
We'll take a quick peek across this map and see how it lays out. Again, this circle is focusing central, so you don't see too much. Leo, I know you're a top runner, my friend, but bring your teammate over will not be a good way to go. As Miss You, Mariku comes through, sees him. Gaxi as well, NIP will pretty much take full advantage of that one. They've split the pack there, picked up a few kills. The drops behind them as well. They're not quite central in the circle, but it's definitely a good position. Blue Bees have to come down. AFF know this. PSG again by eliminating Tempo Storm off the face of the planet. They now have a pretty decent compound, but the Brazilians, they've got to work for the money here, Lauren.
I like this a hell of a lot. Brazilians, if they want to push this, they've got to be so careful. You've got Envy to your right, you've got 17 Gaming up top, and they've just been spotted. It looks like the Brazilian barbecue is back on the cards, and not just for the analysis test this time. Raspu is standing, but for how long? And the answer is not long at all. Out in 15th this time. Envy with a plethora of points now sitting beside them, starting to wind up the pace. Oh, what a turn from Venerated. What an animal. Spot something in the skyline, and that was just 17 Gaming getting absolutely backhanded.
Lasers his freaking face off. 4EM have gone. Wow, okay. Squeaky onto pack caps confirms that one. It's NIP who've been watching 4EM. That was a rotation straight out of the circle and straight forward. He wasn't even a rotate, to be honest with you. It was a beeline for the center of the circle. And unfortunately, it doesn't pay off. I mean, you've got to be careful going in dribs and drabs like that and approaching the circle. Of course, there are going to be teams set up and waiting. This is a huge crossfire. 3 teams in the middle, Lauren. They're all diving in.
Oh, no, this could be huge. Venerated desperately trying to get the car to blow up, but he might have just whiffed it. Interrogate's gone down. Blue Bees have fallen. But where is Envy? They are eliminated as well. Out in 12th.
How does that happen? They were all lined up for Envy. They got turned on hard. That's a blunder. They should have smashed them to pieces on arrival. You can't let that happen.
Look, they're dead on arrival at that point. 17 Gaming still standing. YY starting to clean up as well. We're down to 11 teams. This is looking like top 10 territories coming in. Yeah, this is the cleanup crew. They got the mops out.
They hear what's going on. They see the smoke. They shoot through it. They don't realize they've moved back off the... There's only Yak alive, actually.
Yeah.
I say them. It's all right, then. Entus and Envy single-handedly just destroying one another's chances in this match. 33 players. I'll tell you what, South now. We have ENS, we have MP5, the remnants of Entus, 17 on the top, but now it's OMG and AW that needs to make this happen as they're out in the open.
Yeah, but look at Lion KK. I love that position. If he keeps pushing up that way, that could be a really nice angle, but I don't know who else is surrounding them. It's like a minefield here. You've got the mortar shells coming in. So much utility is being used. Clouds is completely out of nades. We're seeing Aerowolf running out of nades. A lot of those back and forths have now depleted. It's going to be down to those rifles, that skill, that in the hand, just going to get that AK to work, because they're both in that southwest side. They can each get players in, but you want to get rid of that team. You don't want that nuisance on your back the whole time, because we know what can happen when you don't remove the dagger that's right behind you.
More importantly, for the topography of the map where you can see the downed plane, it's open playing field. It's basically a no man land dead zone. You will not be running up there, so you're going to be playing edge here if you want to keep inside the circle. OMG know this, so they have to pick the poison. Do they go up north? Do they fight AG and AFF? Or do they go down south and take out AW? It's an interesting one for Aerowolf because they'll be able to hold this line. PSG, though, so you know what? We want involved in this. We want to get center. 4 vehicles, 4-man stack, job done. They've managed to make the way in here, which is surprising. They'll be able to build a little bit of a wall with those vehicles and cover the backlines, but they've got ahead of the game, so they can basically stop anyone else advancing upon them.
Now look at NIP's position. You've got to say that's very strong right now. They can completely lock out that side. ENS trying to work their way in. They're on the south. They're looking for anything en route, and they found it. Squeaky caught out Fong. That was a little earlier, so that was the bleed out happening and being kind of eventually found. But the rest of MP5 aren't in great spots either. You can see this. Yeah, proning doesn't happen when you get that nice little kind of...
Finally.
You know, the thing with the bullet drop, you all know by now, you're experienced players, I don't need to tell you, but there's that little arc in it, so you can get to just dip down on them, and Spartan's certainly feeling that. Leo is still alive, though.
So the interesting one for ENCE, directly in front of them, you have 17 Gaming, but they're in the main compound, the biggest compound in this circle. That's an arm, Lauren. You said you wanted to see it. Star-Lord. Tixu bangs him out in the face and puts him down dead to rights. He's not confirmed just yet. I'll go back to what I meant about ENCE, though. 17 are focused on several teams in front of them. ENCE might have an entry point into the circle, but now we have 3 teams all on the west about to clap heads.
So we've got AFF kind of sandwiching in OMG. OMG wanting to fight Aerowolf. This is going to be a huge battle, and so far it's Silent coming up with all the cards. Starlin and then go down. This flank gets spotted, and that is clinical from OMG. Finally seeing the team that we all know can deliver. But where's the next battle? It's VSG. They're coming over, but there's fire from the back lines. It's Aerowolf. They're laying down fire too. OMG are down to 1.
Yeah, that's split between 2 rosters there. Aerowolf picked the time and so did VSG. And all of a sudden, the dinner bell was rung. And a lot of people were hungry. They turned up, they smashed them to pieces. Star-Lord still with that AWM, might be able to get a dink. Entus goes down, Yak the final man standing. Windstrike though, 2-man stack unfortunately for
VSG,
them.
how is this
This is the problem with this circle. And this what else do they really do? Where do you move?
You got to fight your way up, but they do at least have a little bit of a dip to hold on to unless Windstrike take them down. They have that little bit of a lip of the other side of that hill to just cling on to and just hope other teams now get caught for a second. Maybe AG gets a couple of shots from Windstrike. But let's look at the big teams left here. ENCE still alive as well. NIP in a good spot. 17 Gaming in a good spot. That southwest side is an absolute... It's just waiting to explode. Star-Lord could be potentially the little kind of spark that ignites the entire keg of this, but it could be anyone.
8 times on the back. No doubt he's going to have level 3 gear, which gives him a bit of an allowance to be able to peek and poke. That level 3 helmet will take a couple of hits. Monkey King takes down Evo. That's a headshot from the SLR. Job done on that front. Now ENCE finally making their decision to move inside the circle, but again, they need to be aware that 17's been here all this time. Aerowolf in the bag now. This could be an interesting one for ENCE. Aerowolf might actually distract 17, and then ENCE might get involved in them.
Do they push back in, though?
This could
don't
be a
have
fun
to
play.
necessarily. Oh, the nade from YY. That is what you want to be seeing. 17 Gaming looking more and more deadly the further in we get, and it looks like Aerowolf, mad dash for it. Just going to get on the bike and get the hell out of there.
This has done enough, though, Lauren. This has split 17 up. ENCE are pressing this one on the edge. They've been held back across from Windstrike. But ENCE now might get involved here. They say, okay, they've committed to it. They've taken the fight. They split up. Let's get stuck in here.
But ENCE have this really nice hillside to play off. They don't have to commit to fights. For 17 Gaming will have to move to them. VOD found MP5's remaining player, Leo. Now we're into top 6, top 5 territory. It's starting to look good here. If NIP's eyes turn towards ENCE, though, they're in trouble. That's what you've got to remember. There's a lot of teams that could fold onto the other. VOD and NIP currently looking towards Windstrike up towards the northeast. Star-Lord gonna be just scary throughout. He can just deal damage wherever. Squeaky, you're fine. He's got 16 shots too. He's got a lot to work with. You know, he could basically take down almost the rest of the server. He kind of can.
I like what they're doing as well. They've been proactive here and actually extending the reach inside the circle. You know, the further and deeper they go, the more room they have to breathe. No one's on that western side, but Windstrike are probably going to feel the full force of 2 teams here.
They've got NIP from the little compound, and then you've got Thrifley as well fighting Temi. So you do have the ENCE boys kind of doing some dirty work against their own, but just laying into the smoke for now, trying to find anything as they did before. But it looks like ENCE are very aware of 17 Gaming. They know they're still in that compound, but there's safety there. They don't have to push out, but look at Squeaky. He looks like he's wanting a bit of that.
I like that you're touching on it. They don't have to push out, but if the next circle doesn't go their way, they're in an absolute diabolical position.
Oh, yeah.
They're literally in a bottle.
It's shocking. They have to run at ENCE who have the line.
And as if by magic,
there it goes.
Oh, NIP.
Speaking of magic, NIP, yeah.
Look at the VSG extension, though. It's
not
paid
bad.
off. It's literally paid off. They've taken the top side of the hill, and they've got some decent gear to work with.
These guys are going... YY right now is really impressing me. He's got 5 kills to his name. They were good before, but we're really seeing what they can do. And it looks like 17 Gaming are considering how do we get past the Finns? How do we deal with this? Because they know they're going to have to. A dink, one knock, it could be just go time. We're going to see what kind of ignites their push here. If someone starts running to the left, and they are, here comes the push. It's Monkey King leading the way. You've got players now holding down the angle. Squeaky cannot peek too far, but it looks like a third party. VSG starting to join in. YY's nade does good towards Squeaky, but this is messy now. This is not what 17 Gaming wanted.
A couple of grenades from the side of 17 were all that needed. Kind of a ball situation. Rustenmar holds the back line. 17's gone, so they held their ground and they kept 3 alive. But really, where do you go from here now? You've dealt with one team, but you've got VSG literally who have line of sight here. The utility's up, the smokes are down, the walls are built, but the damage is being dealt left, right, and centre. VSG have so much ground here. They can just see an open playing field. This is just a shooting range for them. NIP took out finally Windstrike in the background, but this is the focal point. How far can ENCE really get inside this circle?
It's horrible. It's horrible to watch. They have so few options, and their options eventually ran out, and it looks like we are seeing not only ENCE go down, but the remainder of AEG. Damage held on for so long. We're down to 2 teams, and these teams have a lot alive, but keep in mind, Star-Lord, thank you, Observer C, you know, you see, they get it. But Star-Lord's got a big boy gun, but NIP have...
They picked something up. There was a crate in the middle, they went to it.
But look at Gaxi and Miracle, I don't care what they've got, they're being aggressive. This is sick play, but Star-Lord might have just countered this. Star-Lord has got the cross. The call should be being made. He can say, guys, they pushed up. There's 2 players pushing up, probably 2 around the back. This is why the nades are there. Star-Lord is taking his time. As soon as he shoots, it's game over for him. He knows that instantly there'll be attention his way, but can he land one big shot? That's what he's looking for. One potential that he can deliver right to the perfect place. If you stand still for a second, NIP are in trouble. Vard's now starting to work his way up as well. It looks like they're starting to feed their way forward. VSG are on the back lines though. Star-Lord, this could be the chance. He's looking again. Did he spot another one? He might have seen that now. There's not just 2, it could be 3. Gaxi on the move. The comms are more useful right now than taking the shot.
Literally holding his time, the information that he can feed the rest of VSG. They don't know that basically they've got no...
That's a nice nade. That could be a very nice nade. Gaxi puts it in the pocket. This could be go time. The Orm should be starting to wind up now. They need it to alleviate the pressure that's coming in. They need a pick right here, right now. Star-Lord, where have you gone? Why have you not done it? He opened up and he clearly missed, because now look at NIP. They know the position. Miracle nade in hand. It's go time, up and over, as we love to say. 10 kills for NIP, and now we're down to Star-Lord and Hulk.
He needs to do something and make it happen now. He's had this angle for so long, but he might have just waited a little bit too late. MBS reading it perfectly, puts the pressure on, stops the big green machine doing any damage to NIP. And honestly, just getting aggressive, Lauren, and getting stuck in, this has paid dividends for NIP. They are probably laughing here. How can he not do anything? He should have been laying down so much pre-fire.
Oh, another nade, he's gone. That is the Orm out of it. Hulk is your last man standing. 1v4, he is not getting it done. It is NIP Gaming. From start to finish, they look good. Their positioning, exceptional. That 2-2 push at the end, commanding pressure. I love that.
I can't physically understand how that was left unchecked to happen. Star-Lord had them all dead to rights in terms of communication. He should have fed this all back to VSG. They could have even really just got hyper-aggressive. And NIP wouldn't have expected it over the side of the hill because they knew exactly where every single one was. There wasn't a single knock from that Orm. The information was fed, and actually there was nothing used from that info. They could have been lowballing grenades. They could have been getting aggressive. Maybe even took a flank.
Yes,
2 or 3 players,
something.
Wide flank, knock out 2 players that are getting up close and personal. That information was not used in any way, shape or form. But I tell you what, NIP, the aggression, it's paid dividends, and a fair few kills as well. What's that, 12 in the bag as well as the plus 10 from the win? 22-point game?
There we go.
GG, boys.
There we go. I mean, that was lovely to watch. I think all of us, when we were looking at this, we all saw the positioning they had in that compound, but that play at the end solidified to me that they're a team we cannot ignore. We cannot look past them. They really took initiative. I love watching that. I absolutely love it. That is the perfect example of how you play late game.
I'm still stunned. Like, they shouldn't have been able to do that. Star-Lord had every single bit of info. You know where the 2 players that were up against them on the bottom of the lip were? Like, why didn't they rush as a 3-man stack around and just body them?
I do not know.
It's questionable, but I tell you what, it's still a very good win from NIP to be able to put 2 players up close and personal, and then just jump up. The initial nade comes through, that pick's there, the door's open, there's a kink in the armour, and they just absolutely run with it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. What else? It's perfect PUBG, right?
It's really good. Again, I think we need to start asking the question of some of the big teams, though. As much as you do want to look towards the top of who just won, you know, we love winners, it's all great. You got to look at who's going out early on. OMG have not been having great games. They've been kind of pinched in a little bit. That performance was better than the first one, but Tempo, Storm, we're seeing so many teams struggling right now, and it may be drop related. I'm sure either Scoom's going to break that down for you, or D-Man, or the Des. You know, someone's going to highlight what's going on here, because this is not normal performance.
No, we won't expect to be seeing it. I mean, we're only 2 games in, right? They still play a group match tomorrow. It's literally they're only the 2 games, so anything can happen at any given time. Bit of a better performance from ENCE, but certainly not to what we've been seeing in the PEL. Yeah. The last day they kind of seem to be smurfing. I suppose there will be a question in certain people's minds, like with ENCE, like with Tempo. And I'm not saying anyone is, but do they get a bit too comfortable coming into this? I think, well, easy pickings.
Maybe.
Anything can happen over these, not even just the next 3 days, the whole week that we're here. Like the drops, the rotations, the skill, anyone's game for that trophy on the stage.
Yep, I'm going to get out of here because I really want to get the next game going. But before we do, we need to hear from NBS, obviously from NIP, and down on the stage with Freya to take us through that one.
That is exactly right. And I'm joined here by the winning side, Ninjas in Pyjamas, with NBS. So after a kind of slow start in that first game, what were you changing coming into this? Because that was an epic final fight.
I mean, the first game was tough because we had 4 AM coming to loot the same spot that we do. And this game they didn't, so we had much more freedom. However, like we got the center zone on the first circle, and people actually come to the middle really, really fast. So we didn't really have enough cars, and in the end we only had 1 car. I actually got stuck in that compound where we stayed like the whole game. I was just stuck, and I had 17 gaming holding me from the above, and I couldn't do anything. And then luckily my team had like 1 car, so eventually they just like came to me. We regrouped and just farmed easy kills.
So obviously you guys, you're in Group C, so you didn't play yesterday. How did you use that time to prepare? Was there a lot of watching the other teams play?
We watched a bit, but not too much. I mean, it's really hard to say from just like a few games, but we just basically checked where teams drop, like what are the tendencies and stuff, and we just spent all the time in the practice room just shooting stuff, like shooting walls, shooting people, just feeling like trying to get a good feel of the game and of the setups and stuff.
Well, it definitely worked for you guys. I just want to go back to that final fight. I believe it was Shogun who had such an off angle on you. He was sort of stalking you from behind. How did you deal with that in the final fight?
Excuse me, which one?
I think it was Shogun. He had, I believe, an Orm. He was sort of to your right. Yeah, how did you kind of deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, it was actually kind of surprising because at the start, when it was only 8 alive, we thought it was 4v4. And after like, I don't know, like 30 seconds, we started thinking maybe there's actually like more teams because VSG were playing really passive and they just let us run out like for free from the compound. And then once we heard there's actually a player like on the car as well, we like took really like precaution not to get by the home because it actually really hurts. So yeah, I think we played the last team fight pretty well. And they gave us a lot of room and we used it pretty well, so yeah.
That's really interesting because it seems like VSG, they were pretty aggressive for most of that game. Do you think they almost like freaked out when they realized that they had you guys left? You almost had the advantage of being all grouped up together. Do you think there was almost a mental slip from them?
I don't really know, like, could be. I mean, they had an off angle, which is really good, and he had like really good cover as well because he was behind that broken car, which you cannot shoot through, so it's basically like a wall. And he had an arm, which is like the best weapon to have in the entire game to like quickly peek. So I don't know, maybe the nerves got to them. Like, maybe they didn't know that we are 4 alive as well. Maybe they played too careful because they thought there's like maybe some snakes somewhere lying in the grass. So maybe they just played too overcautious, and that gave us like a pretty easy win, I'd say.
Now, after that easy win, as you just termed it, are you feeling confident coming into the rest of today's games? Because you've got one more Miramar and then Erangel, which typically EU teams look better on. Are you feeling confident?
Yeah, for sure. Like, we just came here to win. That's it.
Confident words there. I love it. James, what do you make of that one back over at the desk?
Tell you something, Frankie, no sleeping on Ninjas in Pajamas here as they're able to take the 12-kill chicken dinner here in Miramar game number 2 for the day. Joining me at the desk, of course, Toffees and Avenger. Avenger, we're going to briefly talk about kind of the final moments of that game. VSG, my boys, are able to get themselves a second place. They could have potentially got themselves a first place, but talk to me about holding the arm. Talk to me about that overall fight going down in the end.
So there's multiple things. We ended up having a full 4 versus 4, which is really rare, or it's more rare, but they played it right. They made sure that Ents didn't come up behind them. They wanted to make sure they got the kills from that as well, and then take the fight in the end. But NIP actually played it even better, because once these guys were fighting this, all the kill feed popping off, we saw 2 guys push up in the front here. And Gaxi obviously got a nade knock on here, but before that we saw Starlord on the off angle with the AWM, and he wanted to feed them information. They wanted to make sure that they know where they are, so he's just feeding them information. That's why he's not shooting. But he could have, with a knock, he could have then forced the 3 guys on the top to push forward there to make sure that they got these 2 guys down here. They would win the 3 versus 1 in that situation, and then they might have lost one fight to the 2 guys holding the off angle. But I definitely think that it's a little misplay not taking a shot, not getting a knock there, because that would enable the other guys to push.
But ultimately, the most important thing is there are options outside of just full-on aggression here in PUBG, even in these final circle moments.
There are options. I do think that that's one of those situations that you take the shot, because if nothing else, even if you miss, it causes that sort of scramble chaos moment for Ninjas as they're coming up the hill, where you see some of you fall back because they go, oh my god, an AWM just went off and hit the wall next to my head.
Yeah.
That scrambles your brain and gives a chance for your top to to look over the hill.
I mean, surely there's even the more knock-on effect of, for a long time, they did not know he was at that angle.
Exactly.
And if a shot comes in from that angle, that also caused panic, confusion, a little bit more chaos in the ranks.
And in my experience, when that shot is taken, the first reaction of the team is generally smoke that angle. And if you've got 3 players on top of a hill looking down, as soon as you take the shot, you know someone's thinking smoke, that's a good chance to push.
But it was really interesting because they didn't know for a long time. You could see how they were moving openly.
Yeah.
Because then after they found out that he was there, they took another angle where they were only like peeking over the ridge, making sure they put some damage on him. And at that stage, he was that close to the zone that it started moving, and he was just in a super off angle that he didn't have time to play it.
But I think the key is hindsight is 20/20 when it comes to PUBG. The thing about PUBG is those moments, those second decisions are what determine success and failure. So as much as we say coulda, woulda, shoulda, from their perspective, I think that they made the right call. I can't judge them for that. They got all the way to second after a 16th place finish last time. Not too shabby.
Nice, Nate.
Don't worry, gentlemen.
Very nice job,
You'll
Nate.
all be bowing down to our Korean overlords soon enough as we take a look at the highlights here.
On top of that, we also saw 17 Gaming holding this spot for a long time, getting a lot of kills as well. But in the end, they didn't prioritize getting to the circle, putting themselves into a position where they could hold out Ents instead of kind of pushing them. They just wanted to take the fight easy on instead of pushing into a position where they could have taken this away from it, but VSG.
But this is another good news. 17 Gaming went out in 6, but they got 9 kills during that match. After a 15th place with no kills in the last one, that's another big surge back for them. So 2 teams that needed to make some plays did it. On the other side of the coin, so did Ents.
And of course, this was brought to you by the beautiful NVIDIA RTX.